Hello, sixth graders. So today we are going to be starting a new topic. It's topic 14, and it basically goes into a bunch of 3D shapes and finding the surface area and volume of them. But before we even are able to do that, we need to identify these shapes and learn all about them. So we're going to start this lesson with a definition. And it's right here. It says a blank is a three-dimensional figure made of flat polygon-shaped surfaces. So that is the broad term for basically a lot of 3D shapes. And that is called a polyhedron. So kind of a fancy word, but how you pronounce that is polyhedron. And all it is just a three-dimensional figure made of flat polygon-shaped surfaces. And those flat polygon-shaped surfaces are called faces. So the faces of the figure. And the line segment where two faces intersect or meet is called an edge. And then lastly, the point where several edges meet is called a vertice or a vertex. All right, so let's look at this shape right below. Okay, let's look at this shape right below. This you may recognize as just your standard cube, but the broader term of this is called a polyhedron because it is made of several flat polygon-shaped surfaces, and these polygons are actually squares. Okay, so this arrow right here is pointing to this flat side right here. What would we call this out of these three words, faces, edges, or vertex, or vertices, plural? What would we call this right here, that flat-shaped side? We would call it a face. This arrow right here is pointing to this point right there, okay, where all of these lines are meeting. What would we call that point? We would call it a vertex or a vertice. Okay, and lastly, right here, this arrow is pointing to this line. What would we call that? We would call that an edge. Okay, so these are all of the parts of different polyhedrons. All polyhedrons have faces, edges, and vertices. It just depends how many they have, which identify them apart from each other. Okay, so let's look. Let's see how many edges, vertices, and faces this shape has, this cube has. So the edges, we can count them. 1, 2, 3. Don't forget the one behind. That's why it's dotted. You can't really see it, but it's still there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 edges. Now, how many vertices, how many points does this shape have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vertices. And how many faces? Now remember, this is a cube, so you can also even find some type of cube around your house and count how many faces are on the cube. If we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 faces. Okay, so it's important to kind of just know how many faces, edges, and vertices are on each polyhedron because it helps you identify them. Now, we're going to learn about 2 types of polyhedrons today. We're going to focus on prisms and pyramids. All right, so let's focus on prisms first because there's a couple different types of prisms. All right, so let's bring this up. Perfect. All right, so the definition of a prism, okay, it is a polyhedron, 3D shape, made of polygons. It has 2 end faces. That is very important. It has two end faces, and both of the end faces have to be similar, equal, and parallel. And then all of the other sides, so all other sides are polygons. So there are two examples, well, technically three that we're going to go over. The first one that is considered a prism would be this shape right here. And this has all of these polygons identical. They're all squares. So we kind of went over this already. This is a cube. Okay, so that prism is a cube. And it does have two end faces, but the end faces are all over. So that's a cube. The next one we're going to go over, that is a prism, is this. This is also a prism, okay? And it also has two end faces as well that are equal, okay? This end face and this end face are identical, parallel, equal, okay? And then all of the other faces around are polygons. All of the other sides are polygons. So this is called, because it's made of rectangles, is called a rectangular prism. Now this is also an example of a rectangular prism, but it looks a little different than this, okay? The two end faces on this one are here, while the two end faces on this one are right here and right here. Okay, these are the two end faces, and all the other ones are polygons or rectangles. So both of these prisms are called rectangular prisms. And they're called rectangular prisms because they're made of rectangles, which makes sense, okay? The last type of prism we are going to go over is this. It does not really look like either one of these, but it is still a prism because end face, both of these end faces right here, boys and girls, okay, are identical, parallel, and equal. And then all of the other sides are still rectangles. That's what makes it a rectangular prism, or a type A prism. But this is not made out of two rectangular end faces. What kind of shape is this end face? Well, it's a triangle. So this is not a rectangular prism. This is a triangular prism. Basically, a triangular prism is just when the two end faces aren't rectangles, they are triangles. So this right here is a triangular prism. So triangular prism right here, rectangular prisms right here, and a cube. So all of these examples all fall under prisms, okay? Cube, rectangular prisms, their two end faces are rectangles. Triangular prisms, the two end faces are triangles. All right, so those are our prisms. Now let's look at our pyramids. Let me erase this board. All right, so the definition of a pyramid, okay, it is a polyhedron again, made out of polygons, and it's 3D. It has one base. That is important. It has one base, okay? And then it has three or more triangular faces that come, or that meet, that meet at a point. And that point is actually called, fancy word, an apex. All right, so pyramids are polyhedrons, have one base, and then 3 or more triangular faces that meet at a point. So let's look at a few examples. This is a pyramid, okay? Has one base right here. This is the base, okay? And then it has triangles that meet at one point or at the apex, okay? And you might have seen these triangles before, like in social studies or something when you're learning about ancient Egypt or something like that. But this is a type of pyramid. Now look at the base of the pyramid. What shape is that? Whoop. Okay, still dropping things even not in school. All right, this is a square, which is also a rectangle. Okay, so this pyramid is a square pyramid because the base is a square. So this pyramid right here, when it has a square base, is a square pyramid. Easy enough. And the last pyramid we're going to learn about looks like this. Okay, again, it has one base, and all of the other triangles are its faces, and they meet at a point. Now, the base of this pyramid was a square. The base of this pyramid is a what? It's a triangle. So this is a square pyramid. What do you think you would call this pyramid? Kind of fancy. This pyramid is called a triangular pyramid. So not a triangle pyramid, but a triangular pyramid. All right, so those are the two pyramids that we're going to learn about. Square pyramid has a square base. Triangular pyramid has a triangular base. And if you look, squares have 4 sides. So there are 4 triangles that are on its face. Triangles have 3 sides, so there are only 3 triangles for its faces. All right, and they all come to the point which is called an apex. So what you guys are going to do, you are going to practice identifying some of these polyhedrons. So we have prisms and we have pyramids, okay? So try your best. Please make sure you look back at this Ed puzzle if you do have any questions, or you can also look at page 708 in your workbook, and that kind of goes over some of the prisms and pyramids as well. All right, so the Google form is attached to the end of this Ed puzzle. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.